So we've been talking about linear models the last few days and coming up with methods for drawing those linear models and also using a graphing calculator like Desmos to make a line of best fit linear model. And we've been talking a little bit about how close the points are to the line and how good of a linear model is, or which one is a better linear model. And when we're doing that, sometimes we're just kind of visually looking at the points and seeing how close is the actual point from the predicted point, the estimated point that might be on the line. So how close is the point to the line, essentially. And so I want you to be thinking about that today, because we're going to be coming up with a little bit more of a definition of what that is called. And it's highlighted up here with the word residuals, thinking about the term variability that we talked about earlier this year as well. In connecting those to residuals. So in our 6.1 Math Talk, Differences and Expectations, it says mentally calculate how close the estimate is to the actual value using the difference. So remember, the word difference is a mathematical word that means to subtract the values. If you're trying to find the difference between two values, you are subtracting. So when we look at the difference between the actual value of 24.8 and an estimated, assuming that is from like a linear model equation or something that's estimating, that would be 19.6. So we're going to then subtract these to look at the difference, how close it is. And so it says to mentally do this. If you look at 24.8 to 19.6, hopefully you're saying, okay, well it's around 5 from 24 down to 19. That's about 5. If we subtract 24.8 minus 19.6, I think it ends up being what 24.8 minus 19.6 is going to be 5.2. And I know it says mentally calculate, but if you want to break out the calculator here, you can always drag that up. Because we are going to be doing that today, so we might as well just kind of get used to that a little bit. So 24.8 minus 19.6, we get that 5.2. So I think it's okay to do that. We can do an estimation in our head, and then we can just double check that. All right, so actual value of $112.11. And $109.30. So I'm looking at that, and it's roughly what, $3 difference there. And so let's grab our calculator and do that. So rough estimate, and we could get a little bit more precise with our estimate too if we really challenge ourselves. But let's just go ahead and subtract the two values. And I just misentered that in, didn't I? Let's try that again. So 109.30. There we go. So about 2.81, or exactly 2.81, not about 2.81. So we said it was about 3, so we're a little bit off there. But that's the difference between the actual value and the estimated is about $2.81 difference. Okay. Actual value of 41.5 centimeters. An estimated value of 45.9. So if we're looking at just the difference between the two, that's roughly about a 4 centimeter difference. Notice though that the second one, the estimated one, is higher than the actual one. So when we subtract the two, that's going to actually give us a negative number. So it's going to be right around -4, all right? So let's just put those in again. So 41.5 minus 45.9. So -4.4. Guess I'll just keep my calculator up here. So the difference there is that now the difference between the actual and estimated is a negative because the actual was smaller than the estimated. Keep that in mind because we'll be coming back to that today as well. And then actual value of -1.34 degrees Celsius and estimated value of -2.45. Notice I'm taking the difference, so I'm subtracting, but I'm also subtracting a negative right here. So the difference between those two seems to be right around 1. And So let's take 1.34 minus 2.45, negative 2.45, so we have 2.45 negative. So notice up there it says 1.34 minus a negative 2.45, which actually is going to be positive. Well, I just made a mistake there, didn't I? Let's try that again. So it's negative 1.34. All right, so negative 1.34 minus a negative 2.45. So let's just make sure that that matches up. Okay, so now, all right, so that difference is 1.11. So we said the difference was about 1, right? So 1.11. So the actual value in this case, notice if negative 1 degree is actually higher than negative 2.45 degrees, right? Negative 1 degree would be warmer than negative 2 degrees because it's closer to 0. So that would actually make sense that we get a positive difference there. Okay, so I just want you to keep that in mind today, is that we're going to be thinking about the difference between the actual values and the estimated values as we look at our linear models and scatter plots.